Hello, how are you doing? I hope you're having an amazing day and welcome back to another video. This here is a AA battery and this is the new Insta360 GO 3S, which is the upgraded version of the GO 3 that came out last year. And just like the previous one, this is a tiny camera with an insane low weight of 39 grams, but now it can record videos in 4K instead of 2.7K, and there are a few new improvements as well. So in this video, we are going to talk about them and answer the question if you should upgrade or consider this product if you're looking for a new camera. Now, before I continue, I want you to know that this video is not sponsored by Insta360. They did contact me before the product launch, but I decided to buy the product myself for this review, although my videos are always the same, no matter if a company sends me their product or not. If you decide to buy this device, you will have to choose the memory size that you think you might need. The GO 3S comes with 64 or 128 gigabytes of internal memory. The 32 gigabyte version is no longer available, and what matters here is that you need to know that there is no way to add more memory, so once the memory is full, you need to find a way to transfer those files out of the camera if you want to keep recording. The difference in the final price is only about $30 between one and the other, not really a lot of money. And 128 gigabytes will let you record for 2 hours and 54 minutes using 4K at 24 frames per second, or 4 hours and 22 minutes using 2.7K, also at 24 frames per second, using maximum settings. 64 gigabytes will barely get you 1 hour and a half shooting in 4K, which might not be enough for most users. But Insta360 is selling this quick reader that lets you attach your camera to transfer the files directly to a micro SD card, which is a great idea to bypass the storage limitation, but it needs a power source like a power bank, or you can connect it to the action pod like this, or directly to your smartphone or computer. But the real drawback is the $45 price tag that it has. It feels expensive in my opinion, but let me know what you think. If we take a closer look at the camera, it's easy to say that the small and clean design are still quite attractive. It's very easy to place it just about anywhere, and the fact that it is very discreet when you're recording videos in a public space is a big plus. The processor on the GO 3S has been upgraded so it feels less laggy than before. It helps with overheating issues, which I will talk about in a few minutes, and the video quality has been greatly improved. We are not only getting 4K, but the bitrate has also been increased from 50 to almost 100 megabits per second. Yeah, Insta360 says it's 120, but I have taken over 400 videos and the bitrate ranges from 72 to 96 megabits per second. But nevertheless, the 4K with a higher bitrate makes a big difference in terms of video quality, and dynamic range seems to be good enough even though we're not getting 10-bit color or H.265 videos. My only complaint is that 4K can only record using 24 or 30 frames per second. There is no 60 frames per second for those of us who like that slow motion effect, but if you record at 2.7K, you can go up to 50 frames per second. And I feel that I was able to get good results even though these videos were not shot using 4K. Now, if you select slow motion, it can record using 100 frames per second at 2.7K, and there is an option to record using 200 frames per second, but this can only be done in 1080p. With the GO 3S, you are going to get the best results when you're outdoors with plenty of light. And most content creators always seem to have the perfect timing, right? But the reality for users like you and me is that sometimes we're not going to get enough light. This camera has a small sensor and I was not expecting too much in low light conditions like this shot in the middle of the night. But in many situations when I was indoors or when it was close to sunset, the videos were not falling apart, at least not as much as I thought they would. For example, this here is a tricky shot. the lack of light and all the buildings being too far away, but I can still see some details on them and on the boat as well. And these shots were taken on a very cloudy day, and yet they seem to be good enough for social media or sharing memories without looking like crap. The back of the Go 3S is magnetic, and this will let you use this tiny camera in different places where other cameras cannot fit. There is a new feature that lets you quickly select the orientation of your video. If the camera is set on a horizontal position, it will record in landscape mode. And if the camera is set on a vertical position, your video will be recorded in portrait mode. And this is fantastic because there is no need to go into the menus and change any settings. It's quick, it's easy, and that's always a good thing to have. Good job, Insta360. All the accessories that you get in the box are magnetic as well. For example, this ball head that has a 1/4-inch thread hole at the bottom so you can attach a tripod or an extension rod. This pendant is a round magnetic base that you can wear under your shirt so you can place the Go 3S just like so. And the new design allows you to move the orientation of the camera with a single twist. If you want to change the angle of the camera, they made it possible to use this clip so you can have more options, but it only seems to be effective if you're using the Go 3S in horizontal mode. In vertical, it's only going to make it point to the left or the right. So it becomes a bit more challenging if you want to tilt the camera up or down. The clip is mostly meant to be attached to your head for a different POV experience, but there are plenty of places where you can use it for creative shots. And the same can be said about the pendant, which can be useful to attach the camera to a non-magnetic surface. But let me say that if you're going to do this, please be careful about it. You don't want to drop the camera down. But if that happens for any reason, this is a good time to mention that the lens guard can be removed and replaced, and this also means that you can buy ND filters for this camera as well. You can control the camera using voice commands, and now you can also use gesture controls to start or stop recording. But make sure that you don't wave at the camera, otherwise it can stop recording when that's not what you're looking for. The cool thing about the Go 3S is that it can also be used inside this action pod, and this way it's going to look and feel more like an action camera. The camera itself is now waterproof down to 10 meters, but you have to consider that this pod is not waterproof and it only has an IPX4 rating. The action pod is also magnetic, so the Go 3S is going to be secured inside, and the only way to get it out is by pushing this unlock button on the left side and pulling the camera out at the same time. The action pod has an internal battery that can charge the Go 3S a few times, and I want to make it clear that using this pod is the only way to charge the main camera because this doesn't have a USB-C port. The action pod has a color display that is touch enabled. This will give you a live view of the camera, and this is where you can change the camera mode and the settings as well. The screen can be flipped all the way around, which is very useful for vlogging videos, and in case you're wondering, I found that the minimum focus distance starts at around 30 centimeters. I did try using it at 20 centimeters. It doesn't look bad, but it's not quite focused. Cancel recording can now be used with the Go 3S, which lets you cancel the video that you're recording if anything goes wrong. One of my favorite ways to use the action pod is as a remote control when the camera is not attached. You can turn the camera on from the action pod, see a live view of the camera, although it's gonna have a low resolution, change the settings, and start or stop recording. The connection range between these two devices is not huge. It should be around 5 meters, but I was able to use them at around 9 or 10 meters away from each other. Now, keep in mind that you're not going to be able to review your saved videos unless the camera is inside the action pod, and the video playback is also done in low resolution. And why is that? I have no idea. Maybe this actually extends the battery life and avoids overheating? Yeah, very good job, Insta360. Flow state is the electronic stabilization that Insta360 has inside their cameras. It has always been really good, and with the Go 3S, this is exactly what you're going to get. You can select different levels, which can be standard, high, or maximum, and for everyday videos, I found the standard mode to be more than enough. The regular video mode, which is what most users are going to use with this camera, doesn't have horizon level, and instead, it does have something that they call horizon fix. This is going to make the horizon straight, but it has a very heavy limitation of just about 10 degrees. And I'm going to guess that this was meant to correct small imperfections when you hold or when you place the camera on a tripod, for example. It's really not too impressive, to be honest. Insta360 has been marketing the Go 3S to have 360 degrees horizon lock, but do not be confused, as this is not true for the regular video mode, and instead you would have to use a different video mode that they call free frame. And the main difference with this mode is that you will have to edit your video files using the Insta360 app before you can actually use them. So if you want that perfect horizon lock, you're going to spend more time editing in post. With a high resolution and a higher bitrate, I thought that this camera was going to have overheating issues, especially indoors without any movement and no air conditioning or anything like that. So I did test the camera module by itself using 4K with maximum settings, and I had no issues whatsoever, and I had the same result when I used the camera inside the action pod, and I'm happy to report that in both cases, the battery just died. The battery life on the Insta360 GO 3S is lower than what we had on the Go 3, but let's not forget that this is because of the higher resolution and bitrate. Insta360 claims that the camera by itself can record for 32 minutes at 4K, but I was able to get 38 minutes using maximum settings. Combined with the action pod, I was able to get 137 minutes. And this is just a quick note, but charging the main camera inside the pod takes about 30 minutes for a full charge. Something else that everyone should know is that if you are using the camera inside the pod will always keep charging the camera. And that means that at some point, the pod will not have any power left and the screen will just go off. So your last 38 minutes recording will have to be done without the screen, and that's not something that I was happy about when it happened to me, because I had to start guessing about my composition, and yeah. The Go 3S has two internal microphones, but just like the Go 3, there is no way to connect an external microphone. One solution to this is to buy something like the DJI Mic 2, just the transmitter, which has an internal memory, so you can record audio without being connected to the camera. But the downside is that you're going to have to synchronize everything in post. And before you think about doing that, let me show you a video clip testing the internal mic. Not really windy, but we got the highway next to us, so there might be a little bit of noise around. Something I forgot to mention is that the action pod is exactly the same as the one that the Go 3 had, and this means that you can buy the new camera by itself and use it with the action pod that you already have, and this way you can save some money. If you thought about just buying the camera without an action pod, I am sorry, but it's not going to work. When the Go 3 came out a year ago, I thought that it was a great camera, but I always said that the downside was the low resolution and the bitrate that it had. The new Go 3S having 4K videos with a much higher bitrate, along with all the features like the flip screen, the great stabilization, no overheating, the magnetic base and accessories, decent battery life, all of those inside a very small form factor. I know I said this before and I'm going to say it again. The Insta360 GO 3S is a true pocket-sized camera. The retail price is $400 for the 64GB version and $430 for the one with 128GB. If you buy this product using the link in the video description, it will support the channel. Please let me know if there is a reason for you to not like this camera. And if you're still not sure if this is the one for you, check out the next video comparing this with another popular camera. I hope you're having an amazing week and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.